My story starts in Mexico, where I grew up. As a teenager, I was a part of an environmental science club in the biggest zoo of Central and South America. I'm the one in the yellow shirt. The one who forgot the hat. I got to take a role on several projects undertaken by veterinarians, zookeepers, and other amazing staff. And over the course of 8 years, I got to be part of more things that I probably should have. One of the most interesting things I got to do at the zoo was recording and observing animals' behavior in their enclosures. One of the things we were looking for were signs of stereotyping. No, I didn't mispronounce that. A stereotypy is actually different than a stereotype. It is a repetitive gesture or motion that serves no purpose. Picture a tiger in a zoo, walking back and forth in its enclosure, pacing in the same path again and again. In humans, you can picture someone walking or rocking back and forth continuously. When we would see the beginnings of a stereotypy, it was our job to eliminate it, to better accommodate the animals' needs by enriching their habitat to the best of our ability. Now, each design was different. We took into account the animal's personality, age, and interests. We always started by recreating that natural habitat to the best of our ability. We would include a variety of elements that stimulate all of their senses, promoting physical activity and a sense of purpose, pushing those brains out of those repetitive behaviors. We would normally have the best outcomes when we included a variety of activities that captured their attention. Fast forward a few years, and I found myself in a camp of the YMCA teaching kids about nature, riding horses, and other activities that stimulated their senses, also captured their attention. That's where I met my future husband, and after 4 years of long-distance dating and some very expensive phone and travel bills, we got married and I moved to the US. I think we can all agree that moving is scary, but a long-distance move to a country that speaks a whole other language than you is especially scary. You're removed from your family, your friends, and the places that give you comfort. At first, the air conditioning is too cold. And also, you're getting sick or lost all the time. The worst thing is people don't understand you, and you don't understand them. Fast forward another few years, and I found myself in a class that discussed culture shock. And reading the definition set off some light bulbs. First, that culture shock was a real thing. And second, that I had gone through it a few times. I believe that it's a little different, well, really a lot different than what you read in the book though. To me, it's like that first day of high school, when it feels like everyone knows what's going on, but you. Living in the deep South amplified that feeling. The constant stare of unfamiliar faces made me aware of a new sensation, like a sense of otherness. When I was growing up, I knew the culture, the customs, history, and I spoke the language. Where I've moved, I had none of that. Not to put too fine a point on it, but to put too fine a point on it, it wears on you to constantly be reduced to a taco when you say you were born in Mexico. And as you can imagine, the political discourse around immigration in general, but Mexico specifically, didn't help either. It polarized me. It dehumanized me. It made me feel less like Elizabeth and more like a thing that had no voice and no value. And suddenly, I remember all of those years working in a zoo with animals in captivity, and I recognized that I felt captive. Captive in my own environment. Captive of other people's ideas of what I should be. Like if my accent was too strong or too foreign, or too articulate to be coming from a Mexican woman. I recognized that I had spent too much time molding myself to those ideas of what I should be, blending into the background and forgetting about my own experience of who I really was. That's when it hit me. How did I get from knowing the importance of enriching animals' environments to where I was too busy to enrich my own? So I stopped. I stopped participating in empty routines. I stopped internalizing what made me sad. And I stopped being a passenger in my own life. I engaged in meaningful conversations by opening up about the things that I thought and felt, and shared my own experiences, even if people couldn't relate to them. I questioned everything and anything that I was doing, and if it didn't bring me absolute joy, I stopped doing it. If there's anything I've learned from working with animals in captivity, is that everything counts when you're trying to help a brain move forward. So I started to pursue the things I love. I paid attention to what excited me, regardless of how inconvenient it seemed at the time, to balance it with my life as a mom, wife, and owner of 2 very demanding puppies. I started school and studied landscape design, an old passion of mine, but also a tool that helped me modify my environment effectively. I took some time to be around nature, since it suits me. And by doing so, I learned that I have a very compulsive love for plants. Okay, I say compulsive. My husband says expensive. But either way, it's brought me joy on a whole new level. I found time to volunteer in causes that I cared about, and got to know people in my own community trying to make it a better place. This allowed me to share my own knowledge and gain some in return. And I dared to explore things that I never thought I could do, like art and music. And okay, so far, music has been a terrible fail. But I consider art a success because sometimes my kids introduce me as an artist. And every time I hear them say, "My mom is an artist," I'm reminded of the ripple effect that pursuing my own interests has had on those around me. In essence, I had to push myself out of those repetitive patterns in order to move forward. The more I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, the more that I grew and the better I got at what I was doing. And the more I embraced my differences, the more I could contribute to my own environment. And by doing so, I found my voice, a voice that wants to be heard. So what I've learned is this: Making one small change can have a big impact in your life and the environment around you. When I was first acclimating to America, it was the small things, the kind gestures from random strangers that made everything okay, and that helped me find a small piece of common ground in my new home. We all have that power. You have that power. The power to enrich your life and the lives around you. If we do that individually, we can make small contributions. But collectively, we can change the world.